What is going on, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and we are here for a Raid Shadow Legends video, and we are going to talk a little bit about the Dragon's Lair. The Dragon's Lair tournament just started for the Fusion, so that could possibly help people out, and I just really want to say thank you. I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, how did you progress through Dragon's Lair? And I'm starting this in Denver into Raid Shadow Legends, so I'm gonna walk you through like how I built a team, places you can go to find information to speed up your process, and then I'll show you my team, and it needs tweaks. My team definitely needs some tweaks, but let's get into it. Alright, so we are here in Raid Shadow Legends Dragon, and I have a 3-minute, 100% guaranteed completion auto team. And 3 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I know there's people out there that can get through it in 30 seconds, but I don't care about that. I'm here for 100% completion, and when I get 100% completion with that team, now I can start screwing and messing around with my team, changing some gear, modifying stats, whatever the case might be. And that, to me, is super important. There's things you need to look for, and you need to build your comp. And building your comp, you might have to use a level 50 instead of a little level 60 because they give you what you need. And when you fight the dragon, you have to understand first what the dragon does, right? Isn't the only component to the dragon dungeon the waves. More people get hung up on the waves than the dragon. The dragon's the easier part for me. Out of my 3-minute run, 2 minutes of it's fighting the waves. So we got to take that into consideration when we're building our team. And Dragon's Lair, he has 4 abilities, essentially, with a passive. So on his swipe attack, he attacks all enemies and has a 50% chance of placing a decrease attack debuff on 2 turns. Damage isn't necessarily as important as survivability, right? Second ability is Wall of Fire. He attacks all enemies. He places 5% poison debuffs for 3 turns and places the 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns. Third ability is Inhale, and that's when he puffs his chest up and you get that purple meter above the top. So what that does is it fully depletes the dragon's turn meter and it unlocks a secret skill which is called Scorch. This is where the dragon's purple bar is active, so like I was talking about up top. You need to clear the purple bar of HP, otherwise it'll activate Scorch attack on his next turn. And then his Scorch attack is he attacks all enemies, places a stun debuff on them for 1 turn. This skill will be locked and hidden again until the dragon takes enough damage while this skill is unlocked. So he can only stun you when he does the Inhale ability. And then he has the Almighty Immunity passive, which most bosses in this game have. He is immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, block cooldowns, fear, and true fear. He's also immune to HP exchange effects, HP balancing effects, cooldown increasing effects. In addition, the dragon cannot be affected by decreased turn meter effects. So that is really, really big, because most people, like the spider, you want to knock his turn meter back, slow him down a little bit. Excuse me, you can't with the dragon. Reading his move kit, he does a lot of debuffs and he does a lot of heavy damage. So survivability and the ability to cleanse those debuffs are going to be essential to your survivability in Dragon's Lair. So I kind of broke it down by 5 or 6, depending on how you want to look at it, things that you need to find in characters to bring in. Now, it doesn't mean you want to only focus on one of them. Each character has to do one of these things for you. So let's go over that. Okay, so the 5 things you're going to need, right? And the first one is crowd control. Crowd control helps you get through the waves. Now, when you break down crowd control, you're looking for somebody with maybe stun, AoE turn meter depletion, or knockback, because it only said that the dragon was immune to decreased turn meter. Waves are not. So that could be beneficial. You're looking for freeze champions. You're looking for daze champions. Anything like that is what I consider crowd control. Now, you don't necessarily need a character with crowd control to be effective. If there is a character like you'll see in my set, I use a level 50 Belaware because I have my campaign farmer, and then I was lucky enough to unlock another one, and he is my wave controller. I have him in a stun set. It's a 4-piece set, and we'll go over that, here in a second. And what stun does, it stuns the enemy. But the cool part about that is it requires no accuracy. It's just a chance to happen. So another thing you could look at is your tank. You build a tank with low HP, super high defense. Put him in a freeze set, possibly. So that way when everybody goes to attack him, because he has the lowest HP, they have that chance to freeze him. So, jumping back over to the game, we're here in our artifacts, right? And like I was talking about, you have your artifacts. Where is it? Days. What Days does is it gives you a 25% chance to place a sleep debuff. No accuracy is required for that. It's just on every hit you have a 25% chance of doing that. Now, I'm not a humongous fan of the Days debuff because say Belaware goes in with his AoE, puts everybody under Daze. Then my next character comes through with an AoE. Well, all that Daze gets removed. It doesn't stay until like a stun. They are stunned until their turn meter bar is full, and then it resets. Not with Daze. You hit them on the sleep debuff, they wake up. So it can be beneficial if you don't have stun gear or things like that. But again, it is a form of CC. I was talking about the Frost set. You make your tank super low HP, very, very meaty defense, put them in a Frost set, and when they attack, it has a 20% chance of placing that freeze debuff on the attacker, so that's a way to get around it. And then, the one preferred that I have on my Belaware is a stun chance. Stun set. Every time I attack, I have an 18% to place the stun debuff on that attacker. So what that does, they don't attack, it chips away from the time, all the animations, stuff like that. So that's what I mean by crowd control. You take that crowd control, you use it to your benefit, but you need at least one person, if not multiple ones, that have some of that crowd control mechanic in it. Now the next one up is a healer, but I have a healer plus. What you want to try to do is you want to try to find somebody who's a healer, but gives you more to your team, right? So I have Seal the Drakes, and you get her through your login, but what you might not understand is Seal the Drakes, here on her passive ability, she heals all allies by 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. Also places a 30% increased speed buff on a random ally for 2 turns. So she's healing on her passive. Every time she goes, she's healing. Then she also has her Phoenix Right. Revives an ally at 50% HP and places a 50% ally protection buff on them for 2 turns. So we're seeing she healing, she can revive, then she has attacks all enemies 2 times, and you can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a stun debuff on them for 1 turn. So we have, in this one character, I'm getting crowd control, I'm getting heals, and I'm getting more than that. I'm getting a speed increase, and I'm also getting a reviver. So that's kind of what you want to look at. A more common one that people use all the time is Apothecary, right? Apothecary is one of the best rare champions in the game. Heals the target for 35% of their HP. This heal can be critical, and it's on a 2-turn cooldown. But what else is he bringing to the team? He's placing a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown and filling their turn meter. So you're increasing the speed while you're healing. And not only that, he has 21 plus defense aura in dungeons, so he's bringing more to the table than just a heal, right? So the next thing we talk about is a damage dealer. You're gonna have to have a damage dealer. It could be an AoE damage dealer, it could be a single target damage dealer, but you're gonna need some sort of damage, because not every character in a dragon team is built for damage. One's built to be survivable, one's built to be fast. So you have to keep that in mind when you're building, but one dedicated character should be your damage dealer. So the next one up, we have debuffer. Now, you want somebody who can place debuffs on your team. The most important one for me is decreased defense, because I have Royal Guard. Royal Guard needs that decreased defense up on the dragon to use his massive AoE. But decreased defense is huge, right? Decreased defense means if you put it on the wave, say you bring in a War Maiden for that AoE decreased defense, it means you're getting through the waves faster. So that is a big plus for me. And the one thing, I should back up for a second here. The one thing I forgot to mention about damage also is the dragon is much like that of the clan boss. Poisons are super beneficial. You can, like when I first beat Dragon 20, I was using Kale and I was just stacking poisons and it was like an 11-minute run on auto. I didn't have the massive damage dealer Royal Guard, so what I was doing was simply building up the poisons, letting them tick down, and that's how I got through it. So poisons are big. But anyways, so back to debuffers. And that's what you want. You want somebody decrease speed. Extremely important, right? You slow them down, they take less turns, it means you're more survivable. Decrease defense means you hit harder. Weaken means you do more damage against that character. So those are kind of the things you want to look for in your debuffer. And then number 5 is just the opposite of that. You want somebody who buffs, right? Maybe, like Miscreated Monster buffs up your characters. You have people who can put shield debuffs on or unkillable debuffs on, or increase attack, increase crit rate. That's kind of what you want to match. And you want to go through that and mix and match those people to create, your first goal is to create that 100% win rate audible team. So let's jump back over to my team and I'll kind of walk you through who I have. So I'm using a Tyrell lead, Royal Guard, Seal the Drakes, Belaware, and Apothecary. So we're going to jump back over to the characters and I'm going to show you where they fall and why I use them. So the first character I'm using is Tyrell, right? Tyrell is just a great epic champion, but there's other rares that do this. But why I'm using him, his aura number 1, I'm getting 25% defense, so when I go to look for stats, he's increasing the survivability on my team just by his aura. His A1, he gives us a 50% chance for a decreased attack. Means the enemy hits not as hard. But his A2 is one of the big reasons here too. He's a 75% chance on an AoE of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. If the target is under a decreased attack, which he uses on his basic, he can place sleep. So I'm getting the aura for survivability. I'm getting the decreased defense, which increases the damage of my team, so I'm getting a debuffer. And I'm also getting crowd control. Not his primary focus, but I'm getting crowd control. Then on his A3, he attacks one enemy and it increases their target's turn meter. If the attack fully depletes the turn meter, he gets stunned. So I'm getting more crowd control. Now I'm using, as I kind of went over already, I'm using Royal Guard as my damage dealer. He's an attack-based champion. I got his crit rate over 100%. I got him speedy. I'm not too concerned about defense and HP because I have healers and revivers. Seal the Drakes. We went over her move. She's giving me stuns, revives, and heals. And she does pretty decent damage, so I focused on a little bit of speed with her. And the one thing I did forget to say, with your debuffers, the easiest way to figure out your debuff is whatever level you want to fight. If we're fighting level 20 of the dungeon, dragon raid, whatever you want to call it, times it by 10. That's the accuracy you should have to make sure your debuffs land. It's a good gauge. So for a debuffer, you want their accuracy to be 200 plus, but that's why I have Seal the Drakes. Crowd control, heals, revives, beautiful. And then Apothecary. So we have Apothecary. What I want from Apothecary is to go fast. I want him to get out those speed, because I don't have the best speed artifacts in the game with a lot of substats on them. So him giving the whole team that speed up is my substitute for that. Now if I get to the point where my team is super fast without that speed boost, I can substitute. You know what I mean? Then we can plug and play. I can put in somebody else and we can go from there. So that's his role. Heal, buff. My level 50 Bellower. He's in stun gear, speed gear. I got his attacks okay. I don't really care about his damage. What I care about is him landing those stuns, and we don't need accuracy for that, so I don't have to worry about accuracy. But I wanted to make him fast, so I put some speed on him. And he gets out those AoEs because he has AoE on every move. So he's part of my crowd control. So when we jump back to the list that I made, we have crowd control in Bellower. We have crowd control in Tyrell. Very minute chance, but we have him there. We have crowd control in Seal the Drakes on her stun ability. Bellower on his stun set. And the cool thing about him is a little bit of accuracy doesn't hurt, so it's more of a plus if it lands. But block cooldown skills, so that can't be applied to the dragon, but it can be applied during the waves. He decreases speed. That can be applied on both the boss and the waves. And then he has decreased attack and decreased defense. Both, again. And this guy's not even booked. I have 0 books into him. My other one's completely booked out. This one, no. Like I said, you don't need unbelievable players to do this. So let's jump into a fight. We can walk you through, show you how I do it. So there's our team. Lead, aura, buffs, crowd control heals, revive, damage, speed and heals, crowd control, debuffs. Now, one things I could be missing is a dispeller, right? I don't really have a dispeller who can remove buffs, but I really don't need one because if somebody drops, I have the reviver and seal, and I have double heals. So I'm not too worried about a dispeller, but you could use one if you have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make guides for damage dealers that are going to really help you out in Dragon, and this way people who have asked can see how I do it. So here we go. Look at, we got some stuns, look at all the debuffs, and she's going to heal. We're doing okay damage. Like I said, we're not really expecting massive amounts of damage because we're worried about survivability. Get us through this fight so we live to fight the dragon. Once we get the dragon, it's over with essentially. It's just getting there. Look, we got some sleep from Tyrell, more stuns, so we're doing good. This is how we want it to work, and we blew through a lot of our cooldowns. We're through it in about 40 seconds. Decrease some turn meter. Didn't get any stuns to land there, so we're probably going to lose somebody. Probably Bellower. Oh, got 2 stuns. There he goes, he's dead, but that's why I have Seal the Drakes. Brings him back up. Got a sleep there. More stuns. So this is how this team works. I'm controlling the waves with the pieces I have to get me through to do what I want to do. And even my damage dealer in Royal Guard isn't hitting like a truck. I need to tweak him more, but at least I'm winning on 100% of the time full auto. So there, we cleared out the waves in a minute 30. Now we go to the dragon. And we got to get that decreased defense up or I won't do my takedown ability. There he goes, puts it on with his basic. Got to decrease attack to keep up the survivability. Everybody's topped up, 327 damage. Now we have those poisons up, and I don't have to worry about the poisons. This, if you don't have the double healer comp or a reviver, this is where you have somebody who can dispel buffs, like a Doom Priest would be really solid. So we just keep trucking along. We got our decreased attack up. We got our decreased defense, 344. Now we're probably going to get hit with the Scorch ability here because I just used my takedown before he went up. But that's the AI for you. What are you going to do? Yep, so we get a stun, but that's fine. Look at, we're still... Once we get to the dragon, it's pretty much the cakewalk. Poisons come back, but we don't have to worry about it. 444, or 440 on the takedown ability. And now that I'm 100% audible... yeah. If I could talk. Now that I'm 100% win rate on autoing it, now I can start to make teams because I know what works for me before. So there we go. 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Record. Beautiful. But that's how I build my team. And we got ourselves an Avenging set, counterattack, crit rate, and we'll keep it because it's 6-star. I guess I got to see what other ones I have. So that is that. Now I can just hit auto, walk away, let it run, and do my thing. Now you might be saying, well, I don't know who does what, and what I wanted to show you is over here, my good buddy hellhades.com just launched this website, and it's really super user friendly, in my opinion. And number one, you get a new character, you can just search a character if you want. And if not, come over here, you can go to tools. We go to our buffs and debuffs down here. So say we wanted to look at a buff. What do we want to look at? We want to look at a speed buff, increased speed buff. Well, it's going to bring up every single champion in the game that can give you an increased speed buff. Pretty solid, right? So that way you can say, well, a lot of these are legendaries. I don't have those yet. Well, Bombardier's not. He's a rare. Diabolist, rare. Channeler, rare. So you can go and screw around, and this site's been really, really helpful for me to learn the characters, to kind of play around with different combinations I have. You know, so say we wanted that decreased defense debuff, right? But we wanted it in the AoE version. Well, this is who we got. New rare to the game. New rare to the game. We have a couple legendaries, rares. We got options, so you can play around and see what you got. You know? So, just wanted to let you know that this website has really, really helped me out to better learn the champions. And say you wanted, oh, I have Banshee, but I don't know what she does. You can click on Banshee. Gives you their overall champion rating. You know, breaks down their move kits. Gives you some mastery recommendations, set recommendations. So really, really been beneficial, because what I like to do, see if I'm on par with my buddy, is I'll read a move kit. Okay, this is how I would do their masteries. This is how I would gear them, putting on their artifacts. I come over here and I check it. So there it is, my YouTube family. Just that is how this brain looks at Dragon, how I can break it down. Hopefully this helps somebody out. And like I said, I'm going to be releasing my top 10 rare, epic, and uncommon champions for each one of those 5 things in the week to come. Probably this week into next week. So we have the Dragon Tournament out. There's always Dragon Tournament runnings. So that's what I got for everybody. So let me know if I missed something. There's something you do that benefits you more than what I do. If you're just finding me for the first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We do Raid Shadow Legends and Dragon Champions videos on this channel. And I'd love to have you be part of the XMG family. For all my XMG family members out there, you know I love you. See you in the next one. I'm out.